Oh, Duel Links is done. Duel Links is down rather. I don't know what to do with my life now. We're gonna do our quick banlist prediction. Star Seraph, Darklords. I mean, can we be for realsies? Is this card over here gonna finally go? Are we gonna be freed from the shackles of the sanctified loop for reals? So sanctified to 0. I don't know. People have various ideas what to do with the rest of the Darklords, but I mean, I feel like just like sanctified to 0, maybe Eek-Shell and banishment to 3, just to like avoid people from getting that being like an abused draw engine, since people I guess are still worried about that. Understandably so. Just take this away and I don't care. Whatever they do with it. But then again, I've always thought that like the previous hits I always thought were enough too, and it never was enough. Hit sanctified to 0, maybe Eek-Shell and banishment to 3, just for the draw power to not be like abused in other decks. I don't know if they'll actually hit the Star Seraph engine. I don't know if we could really consider it new enough anymore, but I don't know. I'm kind of like half and half on it. I still think it's a pretty toxic engine, but also it's only really toxic in Darklords, and I more so laugh when I'm hit by it in like something like Crystal Beasts. If we follow the precedent that like Neo set, then we might have it for like a year before it actually gets hit. Second chair to 3 solves everything. I don't disagree. I'm only thinking that I would be surprised if Konami did it this early. Not that it's impossible. I would be kind of surprised if Sovereignty was put to 2, or if they were both put to 3. But if Konami's been paying attention, then it could happen. Blue Eyes, hit the skill so that you have to return a card, hit Sage to 2. Would Sage to 2 even do anything? I feel like Blue Eyes would still be disgusting. At the very least, you don't have to decide whether they're playing Tretch versus Karma Cut and Regeki Break to start. Tretch as a blowout card is just stupid. Get that shit out of my fucking Blue Eyes to start. Skill hit so that we don't +1 for free. Definitely needed as well. If it's enough, I'm not going to confidently say that's enough to hit the deck and make it just like fair and balanced. It might need more of a hit, but at least a slight consistency hit and allowing them not to just free plus to go into a comeback Twin Burst Dragon would be a good start. Maybe Ancients to 2, but that's all I can see them doing. I'm not sure how to hit Blue Eyes without hurting Konami sales. That's the thing. I don't see them hitting Ancients to 3 just because it's an ultra rare and it's in the latest structure deck. I know like they still haven't broken that box structure deck ultra rare to less than 3 barrier, but realistically I think they're gonna put Sage to 2 just because it's an SR in a main box, and you know that's more likely for them to do, and it's like already over a year old now. Ultimate Dragons, I think they're just going to have to rework it so that you have to return a card from your hand back to the deck to add a poly. That way you don't have just fucking one card in hand, you top deck into your second Blue Eyes, and suddenly GG. And I think that would be a decent hit. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that too, because fucking DLE had their no ban list tournament a few weeks back. Prior to the implementation of this ban list, prior to its announcement actually, and the mans who won it fucking was playing Blue Eyes post what we predicted the ban list to be, which is 2 Sage and only side decking a Treacherous, and that was still a more nerfed version than what we actually have now. So yeah, but as a minimum, I think Sage to 2, Ultimate Dragons requiring you to return to the deck 1 card to be able to use it. Maybe even make the turn count a little more strict, honestly, so that like, you know, any deck that can't OTK a freaking Spirit and Blue Eyes White Dragon and triple back row set by turn 2 don't instantly get punished by that. Ancients is a mini box UR from 2019 that they put in the structure deck, so it can go to 2. I agree. It'll be interesting to see if Konami does change that precedent, though. I think that's really the big thing. Once we see Konami do it, then I'll be like, all right, that's an okay now. Konami does surprise, so it's not like just because they haven't done something before means that it can't be done later on. Onomad, I don't know, like, you know, a lot of people say hit the skill, but I'm with Mike on the opinion here where it's like, I really don't want the deck to be just completely killed, like, because the deck is just fucking trash if it doesn't have the skill. I think, honestly, just do draw to 2. Or just ban Hate Grenade, like Konami, you cowards. I know that other people will say, well, you know, we need Hate Grenade because there's like, you know, we still have to deal with the other toxic problems that you might have to deal with in certain deck building, which whatever. I don't agree or disagree, but you know, Hate Grenade has caused its own fair share of the problems. Same with Tretch in certain metas. Yeah, Grenade is a problem because like there's so many situations where like, all right, it's Onomats probably. We set up our Chandler. We got our freaking Cyber / Harpy Lady play. We set our double book. We build our Neos Fusion play. We're totally set up. We're ready to use our quick effects. And then, hello, Grenade. And then, okay, well, it's fun playing. I mean, granted, again, then they'll actually have to kind of like rely on things like draw into Buster special summon gloves to try to pop an essential back row before committing their normal summon, play shit like Cosmic MST, which, you know, people have been doing for tri-mids, and like I think some people have still had success with that. It's just less of the sacky tech nonsense that True Nade is. True Nade's a problem, but if they refuse to ban it, then I don't know, fuck draw, I guess. Onomat, either have big PP and ban True Nade, or hit draw to 2, I guess. Keep skill as is. There's Onomat spells they'll probably release as URs when the skill gets hit. Yeah, if they're gonna release like the spell like that the skill is based off of, I can understand. Granted, I feel like the skill actually would probably still be more playable than the spell is, because like if you don't draw the spell, then the deck is kind of like just a mishmash if it doesn't draw properly. What are your thoughts on Cyber Dragons? I honestly don't really have an opinion. I feel like I ran into them, but I was pretty like half and half on them. Either they just nut on me or they don't. It's really that. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe either make the restriction for the skill more restrictive so that you can't just like cyber style after cybernetic fusion support turn 1 to have full combo overflow, or at least a live overflow, so that the deck actually has to like not just coast on cyber style and 3 cores, and maybe if you're lucky a Cyber Dragon. Cyber style requiring 1000 life points, and you just can only play 3. You only have the option to activate its effect when you're at 1000 or below. You don't get the play only 2. Like, yeah, if you already have a monster, you could still play 2 if you have 1000 or less, but no other option. And that way, at least it kind of like limits their ability to sack with Fusion Gate. They actually have to play the long game, or I guess they just start teching in Herald of the Abyss and Cosmic Cyclone again and just sack you anyway after cosmicking their own freaking cybernetic overflow. But I don't know, either that or core and gate to 3, but I don't want that. I don't want gate to be hit to 3 just because of this combo. I think it's possible they won't touch the deck at all. Like, I don't feel like it made that much of a splash. Like, you get sacked by it, but you're not getting... I don't feel like it doesn't get that much representation both in tournaments and even in KC Cup. I saw it a lot more than most other rogue decks, but I didn't see it that much compared to like Onomats, for example. I know some people were like, just limit gate and something else to 3, but I don't really think like gate needs to be hit or anything like that. I don't think it's fair to gate. Make the skill more restrictive, maybe. That's it. Evil Eye. I mean, I gotta say it. I mean, I think we gotta hit the skill. I don't know how you would hit the skill. That's a good question. I haven't really thought enough of that, but I think the skill needs to be hit. Like, maybe make it so that you can't deal like lethal damage when you activate the skill. Maybe like you leave your opponent's life points at 1 when you deal like your 11,000 damage, but even then I feel like it could still be toxic. But at least like make it so that Nightmare Shark, for example, can't be a freaking just OTK right there. Evil Eyes tier 3 still get hit. I think it's more so like, I think Evil Eyes themselves should not get hit at all. I think Evil Eyes are a very powerful deck that are really good at what they do and should stay being able to be good at what they do. Like, even without the skill, they could still be a very competent deck. I think the skill definitely needs to be reworked because it's fucking nonsense. Evil Eye is whatever itself, just a skill. Yeah, like, they're still powerful against, like, Duel Fuel, or what's the other skill they use? I'm trying to think. I feel like there was another skill they used besides Duel Fuel, but I could be wrong. But I know Duel Fuel was, like, the other go-to. See you later, pre-nerf. Oh yeah, that's right. They were playing See You Later. That's right. And then small PP life boost stuff, I guess. But I feel like they could still make power plays. Fire Kings. I mean, the only thing you touch with Fire Kings is Destiny Draw, and that's just because Destiny Draw needs to just not have its interaction with Veil. Just make it so that you have to have like 2,000 life points, maybe 1,000 life points. If like Destiny Draw got a big hit, I feel like Ties That Bind is actually a legitimate skill for Fire Kings if like Destiny Draw was destroyed, which I don't think they necessarily have to destroy. But it would have to change the deck building trends, because right now they're coasting off of a 30 card deck thanks to being able to just search the 1 card they need. I just want to make sure that like if they veil their life points back, that they can't use Destiny Draw. Like, make it so that either your life points have to be at 2k, or maybe that's still too toxic as the game evolves. Make it so it's 1k, but it has to be 1k, so it's an actual comeback. Like, how many fucking times do you watch Darklords fucking Destiny drawing? I'm down to my last life point with only 8,625 life points left. I Destiny Draw into my 70th banishment. Like, no. So please, none of that. Does he drop remote stall play? True. I agree with that. They can simply make it so it only works if your life points are 2,000 or below and only due to damage and not payments. That, I wouldn't mind that. Honestly, one thing that I'm like annoyed at Konami is like they've introduced skills where you have to have battle damage inflicted to actually trigger the skill, but they still don't like change all these more broken skills like Sorcery Conduit. They could have very easily made it so that Cosmic Cyclone doesn't actually trigger the skill, but they kept it as such, and like fine, 1,500 is still a better amount than 1,000. That had to be changed too. But like, stop this fucking, like, remember fucking No Mortal Can Resist, where you're just out here watching Mr. Dark Magical Circle double Cosmic Cyclone their own Dark Magical Circle just to freaking No Mortal Can Resist you. Like, stop. Sorry. Yeah, Fire King, Weather Painters don't need to get hit either. I know it's not on this list, but I know, like, you know, it's a deck that pops up. Luna Lights don't have to get hit either, obviously. It's just, you know, the skill is annoying to play with. But also, I'm a salty Harpy player that can't actually out a Saber Dancer, so don't listen to me. And Harpy Ladies don't need to get hit. I think Harpies are too new, and they're also fine. I mean, again, we're comparing it to a more toxic meta, which should like hang on Mac Darklords and Blue Eyes, so they're not going to seem oppressive or anything like that. But I think they're fine as is. They don't really abuse limited to 2 card anyway because they use Neos Fusion, and I think Neos Fusion is pretty fair in Harpy Ladies. I feel Harpy is fair. Lots of counterplay. I agree with you. They're like kind of like Noble Knights when they don't have their super busted consistency and balance, where, you know, if you set up, you could be strong. I think they're actually a more fair Noble Knights, where their turn 2, or rather playing through interruption, they could play I don't know, maybe it's not right to say they could play through interruption better, but I would say so because like Noble Knights best play through interruption a lot of times end up being just like Glory of the Noble Knights to play through a destruction effect. Whereas like here you have more room to play attacks like Book of Moon and Forbidden Land, so your turn 2 is a little better, but your turn 1 isn't as busted. You don't have like freaking Merlin into Madrot, into boards, into like special summon from the grave, into like Dristan Pop, into, you know, all that. So your turn 1 isn't like insanely busted, but your turn 2 is more, you know, it feels like more balanced Noble Knights basically. Yeah, Harpy's like a nice direction, you know, for them. That was like a nice box for them to release. D-Draw should be activated with 100 life points because Yugi in anime, he draws his top deck at 100 life points to make a comeback. Bro, imagine if they hit it that hard. Revive Shiranui. It would be interesting if they, like, I feel like, I wouldn't say like completely a nerf Shiro or Kristrons, but man, free our homies, just a little. Just let us see how our homies play with like Xyz meta, with like Dweller everywhere stopping us. Free Jetix controller, he did nothing wrong. Yeah, please give us back the Undyne engine. I don't know, maybe like they're too afraid of releasing Kristrons that hard, but if they're keeping like Impact, Citri, and Rion to 3, I think they could probably release the Undyne engine. Maybe I'm like, maybe that's not true, but I don't know. I feel like they could. Don't hit Water Xyz. I don't think they're gonna hit Water Xyz. Water Xyz honestly feels easier than previous sheer difficulty to face. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to compare Diva to Squire, but they're similar initially. Like they both summon from the deck and enable extra deck combos, but the difference ends, or the similarities rather, ends there because while the synchro monster you initially summon, if you're not using low level modulation skill with Shira's, might be initially weaker, the grind game that Spectral Sword provides is way bigger, I feel like, than Infantry Pop-Pop, even though Infantry Pop-Pop could be very oppressive along with Dweller's Graveyard Lockout. Bye-bye Level Log. I mean, yeah, Level Log is gonna definitely get hit, right? I mean, at the very least, until the end of this turn restriction. I'm surprised they never hit it during the Shira meta, considering that was basically like Level Log and Level Dupe was being used so heavily there. I really thought it was going to end up having like a turn restriction, like it can only be used from turn 3 onwards, or when you have like 1,000 life points left or something. So at a minimum, I think they're going to have to like hit Level Log to like either end this turn or restriction. Konami likes to overreact. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it was like a minus 1,000 life point restriction to Level Log. The sad thing is though, if they hit Level Log, I would imagine that means they're going to have to hit Level Dupe as well. I mean, they might not have to. It's kind of like how they only hit Draw Sense Alistair and not the other Draw Sense skills at the same time. What is it, like Draw Sense Spellcaster? Whatever it was called. Sorcery Conduit, rather. So maybe they'll just only hit Level Log, but I kind of have a feeling they'll just like try to hit all the level modulation skills as well. Level Log, again, either they'll make it so that it requires you to like lose 1,000 life points, which in itself would be toxic if they don't give it a until the end of this turn restriction, because like otherwise Hang On Mac will just still exist. People will just be playing triple cosmicing their own cosmic so that they could freaking activate level AUG turn 1. So just make it so that it's until the end of this turn, and then we'll see if it gets more toxic later on. And also fucking, like, just unnerf what grows in the graveyard for a format and give Rikas a goddamn chance. Yeah, hit all the level log skills for future proof. I would agree with that. Also, maybe even hit a level tuning, just so like, because like level tuning is kind of nonsense when you could gain the life points back and still use it. Yeah, so I guess like make it so like level modulation skills beyond like AUG aren't really doing much right now. If this was still sure at its height, I would have been like, yeah, we probably have to like wait till turn 3 to let level AUG and level dupe be usable. Maybe that should still be the case just for future proofing, but as a minimum they should not, those like level manipulations should not last beyond the end of that turn. Honestly, I don't hate level dupe in TDs. Actually, that's a good point. I didn't even touch on TDs. I think TDs we kind of forgot about just because they were kind of hurt. But I don't know. Maybe actually, I haven't really thought of how like TDs would get hit if they need to. They might not need to, but I feel like level dupe, for example, having a turn requirement to level 3 or to turn 3 would actually be interesting to see how Thunder Dragons would react to that. I think that actually wouldn't be a bad thing. But maybe again I'm overcorrecting. I think I don't quite hate Thunder Dragons. Like it's annoying to get sacked by them, but I think we see it as like one of those high ceiling but can lose to itself kind of decks. I do feel like they might just hit it anyway just because of how long it's been in the meta. Like Konami, like remember when Blue Eyes came out and then eventually Kwaki-Miru, like not current Blue Eyes, but the structure deck with Cosmic Brain and Cosmo Brain and Dragon Spirit of White came out, and like followed by that we actually got Synchros because that's when Azure Eyes came out, and then we eventually got Kwaki-Miru and the original iteration of Karakuri. That's when like vampires like were starting to leave the meta, and that fucking Banlist Konami was like, alright, so vampires sculpted too. Meanwhile like Gazuki was of course not hit because Gazuki is ultra rare, but like that was just like a big fuck you to a deck that was already leaving the meta, and it took them so long to unnerf it. Like I feel like they'll do the same thing with Thunder Dragons just because of how long it's been in the meta. Not good because of Mach, yeah, but we have to think ahead. Once they hit the Mach strategy, Thunder Dragons are going to come back. TDs need to be hit. Lupine and Levi to 3. I don't think they'll hit Levi to 3 this soon, but at the same time it has been out for a while technically, even if it was just a selection box for the majority of it. I would still be surprised though, but I do think that they're going to eventually hit Lupine. As much as I feel bad for the old good boy, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I can imagine them hitting Lupine to 2 for sure though, which would make all the Metaphys haters rather quite happy. I don't think ETH needs to get hit though. I think ETH is the last when I don't know, like maybe people disagree with me, but I haven't felt like ETH has on a competitive scale done enough to warrant a hit just yet. Like it's fucking atrocious when it resolves against you, but fucking like I don't think any deck is really making the worst out of it. Like ironically, like Shiranui is using it now, and every time I see it I fucking hate it, but I don't expect them to hit it is really what I'm trying to say. Just maybe like maybe make its requirement a little more strict at some point, but right now I think it's fine. ETH could be used, could be something that needed a hit, or used to be something that needed a hit, just a free +1, so it's annoying. Yeah, like I do agree, free +1, I think just the fact that in the current meta it's not really making an impact is why I feel like it's not going to be touched, but I don't disagree that it could be kind of like a toxic kill in itself. The draw is the generic skill that needs to get hit next. I definitely agree with that. And Ace, it's true, it's a +1. I think it's like a more strict +1 though, versus at least Ultimate Dragons. I think also the fact that the meta isn't super back row dependent and isn't super reliant on it right now makes it a little more viable. Like a lot of decks can't coast on back row alone just yet that can use ETH. But that being said, I could definitely see it needing it later on.